The Ruy Lopez opening, also known as the Spanish opening, is one of the most famous and popular openings for white in the E4 system. So, in this video, I'm just going to explain how the opening is played from the white perspective and from the black perspective. E4, E5, Knight F3, Knight C6, Bishop B5. So the other more popular opening is Bishop C4, which is mostly played in club level. Not that Bishop B5 Spanish is not played by grandmasters or the top level. It is being. Not that Bishop C4 is not played by grandmasters at the top level. It is played, but Bishop B5 is more popular among in the top level. So the basic idea, as you can see, is white is attacking the knight, and after pawn takes back, white will just take the e5 pawn. That's a plan. But it's not as simple as it looks, because white is not really threatening the knight. Because let's say black plays a move like a6, which is what usually black players do. Even if white takes, white cannot take this pawn really, because if white does that, black is queen d4, hitting the knight and the pawn. So when you save the knight, this pawn falls. And this endgame is slightly better for black, or at least equal. So after bishop b5, this is not really a threat, which is why black can just play a6, attacking the bishop. And of course, we don't want to exchange of the bishop too early. I mean, it's possible. There is a Spanish exchange. It's one line. The main line is bishop a4. You just bring the bishop back. And black need not hurry with b5 right now. It's not needed. You can just let the bishop stay there and develop your knight, attacking the e4 pawn. But white can just ignore it. Because if black takes, then white can open the position up with either rook e1 or even d4. d4 is a more played line. Because if black takes that, then this knight can become a problem. You can get pinned. For example, in this position, first of all, white can take, but I think rook e1 is a better move in this position. If black plays d5, then you can take and you're threatening the knight. And f3 is also a threat. So for example, here if you play bishop d7, then f3 just wins material. The knight is gone. So that is a problem. You cannot take this pawn as black if you want a decent position. So white just castles. So let me just show you one time so that you understand it perfectly. e4, e5. I'm showing you the main line of Ruy Lopez, or also known as Spanish. Bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, castles. So till now, white made a fake threat on the knight for this pawn, and then black made a fake threat on this pawn. Both sides ignored it, opponent's threat. White has just castled. Now, if black wants to take, he has to first play bishop e7. The bishop actually comes to e7, and sometimes it stays on f8 afterwards, goes to f8. c5 is also possible, but it's not the more played move. Bishop e7 is the more played move because now this is a threat, which means white has to defend the pawn, rook e1. Now, before castling would be a mistake here, because if you castle, white will take this knight and then take this pawn because everything is defended. So you have to first play b5. This is the time to play b5 just before castling. Bishop goes back, castles. Now white plays c3. One, to make space for the bishop on c2. Second, to play d4 at some point or even in the next move itself. Black plays d6, opening up the bishop, trying to get to the g4 square. So white stops it with h3. And here black plays knight a5. Bishop goes back and black gets his queenside action with c5. White plays d4. And of course, black doesn't want to take and give the center to white. Black plays queen c7 because pawn takes pawn was a threat. Right? So queen c7 defends it. And from here, after queen c7, white has several options. You can go d5 and close the position, attack on the king side. You can go knight d2. Not right now. Is it possible to play? Yeah, it is actually possible. You can play knight d2 and then knight f1, knight g3, or knight f1 and knight e3. So that's a very common maneuver in the Spanish. Black will try to get his counterplay on the queen side soon. White will start to attack a little bit on the king side and the center. Maybe even on the queen side with pawn a4. That's another plan that white has. So this is how the Spanish is played, the Ruy Lopez, and the ideas are really comfortable for white. You can go for queenside play, you can go for center control, you can also go for kingside attack with knight here, and getting your pieces to the king side, sometimes even with an f4 at some point. So this is how the Spanish is played, and there aren't really too many tricks in this opening. It's just a comfortable setup for white. Not that it's bad for black. Black will also get his play on the queen side, and sometimes even with g6 f5 he gets his play on the king side also. So it's a opening. It's an opening that has been played for centuries by white and black, and there are several sidelines. And in this opening, one is the Berlin defense. Berlin defenses were after bishop b5, they play knight f6. This was the opening that was brought into the game, like brought to popularity in the Kramnik Kasparov match in 2000. Kramnik defeated Kasparov with this setup. The other one is a martial attack, which is a completely different line for black. And instead of just waiting it out and waiting for white to do the uh, like white to control the game and call his shots, black himself sacrifices a pawn and goes for the attack. That's a completely different line. Let me just show it to you once. After bishop b5, a6, sorry, a6, bishop goes back, knight f6, castles, bishop e7, rook e1, castles, b5, sorry, castles, c3. Sorry, before castling, you have to play b5 because otherwise e5 hangs. b5, bishop back, castles, now c3. And here, martial attackers, let me flip it out for you. Black directly goes d5, which is a pawn sacrifice because pawn takes, knight takes, and then white will take this pawn. Rook takes. But the point is, after c6, let's say rook goes back or d4, black will get two wonderful bishops and the queen onto the king side. Here rook goes back, immediately queen h4 comes with a threat on h2 square. And then after g3, queen h3, and the game goes on. So this is a very popular system for black. At the top level, this usually ends in a draw. But at club level, this offers very good attacking chances for the black player. It's definitely an opening that you can learn and prepare for your tournaments. Because it's a surprise that you can throw at white, go up, plays the Spanish opening. So yeah, so that's it. Ruy Lopez main line and the Spanish and the Berlin. These are the three things that be you need to have a basic understanding of the opening. And of course, once you play the opening a few times, you will have to learn different sidelines, and you will know what are the different openings or systems in this particular opening, and tricks and traps in the opening. But that comes later. First, this is the basic understanding that you need to have for playing the Ruy Lopez, also known as a Spanish defense.